So hello everyone, in the second part of tutorials about Krita, I'm going to show you how to import your frames into Krita. Keep working on top of that. And I'm also going to show you how to modify brushes and export your frames, the whole scene. So let's first start by importing our frames. So I'm just going to go to File, Import Animation Frames. And I'm gonna say add images. I'm gonna find all these frames of storyboards and be like open. And the good thing is, yeah, it's all there. I'm just gonna be like start at 0, step 1. Yeah, I'm gonna just stay with one frame of storyboard animation for each of the frames, because I'm not going to be timing out anything in this, right? And if I just have for one frame for each of these frames without any holes, then I could just export them all and then do the timing in another application, right? So far I couldn't find any application which is good for drawing, having a timeline, and exporting a video. So we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna hit OK. So could not finish, cancelled by user. I didn't do anything. Okay, probably I shouldn't have. Just delete this one. Well, actually, I want to delete the whole layer. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to import it again. This time I'm not gonna interrupt it. So sensitive about my clicking. Okay, now you're working. I know that. I'm not gonna click on anything. Here we go. Now you're done, right? Okay. Okay, now it's done. So you can see I'm clicking on the top part. That's where you get to move in the timeline. Okay, I mentioned that if you select here, then you're moving your keyframes. I don't want that. So you can see all of the frames of my storyboard is here, nice and clean. So what I want to do is that I want to start from here and work on top of this frame, right? That's what I'm going to do. First things first, I'm going to just rename this to source, and I'm going to lock this, and this one to BG solid. And what I want to do now is I'm going to create a layer on top of that. This is going to be my color, and actually let's create one for background, the actual thing, not the solid one. And then I'm going to create one other layer for line. Oopsie. Line. Enter. Okay, here we go. So the first thing is for the source and background solid, I don't want to see them in the timeline, but for all the others, I want to see them. Show in timeline, show in timeline, and show in timeline. Okay. So if I go here, this is the frame that I want to start working. So I might have missed this point in the previous tutorial, but so the first keyframe that you want to create, you need to create it yourself. Well, if that makes any sense. So you need to, for example, here I want to come into the line layers and right click and say keyframe, insert keyframe left. Let's say. Yeah, this is the keyframe. Right? If you don't do that, if you do it like one time, then afterwards when you continue to just draw, it's just going to create the rest of it automatically. So for each layer, the first keyframe, you need to just say, yeah, just create some keyframe. At least that's my understanding of the software. Hopefully it's the real thing that I'm talking about. Okay. So the next thing is for this source layer, I'm just going to unlock it for now because I want to turn down the opacity of this to, let's say this. I just want to have it as a source. Indication of it would be good enough. So now I'm just going to lock this. The first layer I want to do I want to draw on top of this. Okay, so I kind of like this brushes that we have here. I'm not gonna modify this one, but I'm gonna show you how to modify the one that I use for filling out. So I'm just gonna go with a dark gray color for this, and I'm gonna just make the brush a little bit bigger. My system is slow. Why? Because I'm recording and drawing at the same time, so my lines are really not so nice. Yeah, so for you, hopefully it's not this bad, because you're not recording while you're drawing. Just gonna do something really quick. It's trying to catch up. Okay, it's lagging. Never mind that. I'm just gonna show you something really quick. Here we go. And we have this beautiful creature here. Okay, here we go. Done. So this is the line work, and for the background, let's take a look at the background in the previous image. Well, I can see a little bit of it. So I'm just gonna come here, do the same thing. Remember I said you need to create the first one yourself. So I created the background. For the background, as I have mentioned to many of you, you should just use a lighter line. You don't want to just put the same value that you put for the character. So here, brush. Okay, so here I want to add color to the background of this characters, just the characters, so that they're separated from the background, right? What I want to do here is I want to first change this white color that I have for the background to something more like gray. So let's just do that. I'm gonna go to this first frame that has the keyframe on it. If you don't have a keyframe, just right click and say keyframe, and then it's going to be created. Now I have to, I don't want this one. I'm just going to drag it on top of the other one, and I should be fine. So in the background color, I'm going to go to bucket tool, and I'm going to change this white color to something with more gray, something like this. Hit OK. I'm going to fill this background in, and I'm just going to check all the other layers on. I'm going to go back to this frame, so now it gives me a better indication. So now in order to separate the background from the characters, now I can just put white on the backgrounds of the character. This is like my own style. If you'd rather do it any other way, that's totally fine, but I think like in a setting that I have, a gray background, solid background works best, and then I can just brush underneath the lines for characters so they kind of pop out. So let me show you how you do that. So I'm going to go to this brush, and I'm going to check the settings. Well, actually, let's first show you what it looks like right off the bat. Make sure you're in the color layer, and the color that I want to select is white. So I'm just going to double click on this icon here. This is white. So now in the color layer, I'm starting to fill in. So I noticed that the pen pressure is set to be, the size is set to be affected by the pen pressure. Actually, not the size, sorry, the opacity. And what I want is that I want the size to be affected by the pen pressure, because I want to use this brush to fill areas, and it's good if I can kind of adjust the pressure and then the size, you know, becomes smaller or bigger, right? So let's just do that. To go to the setting of the brush, it's really easy. As I said, everything with Krita, it's so intuitive, and I like it about that. So you go to opacity, and I can see that pen pressure is checked for this attribute. I'm going to check this off, so it is not affected by pen pressure anymore. And then I go to size, check this on, so I get when I get the pen pressure, the size changes. So now let's just try and see what it does. I'm just going to make this brush bigger. Now it doesn't care if you know, the opacity is not going to change, but the size will, and this is exactly what I want. Or maybe the opacity is still, it is still doing something. Let's see, maybe the flow has, okay, so opacity and flow, they kind of they can show the same effect. And so I checked off in a pen pressure for opacity. What I need to do is to check it off for flow too, right? As I check this off and go back, now I only get the size changing with the pressure, and that's exactly what I want. I'm just gonna, you know, if something like this happens, I'm not gonna be too picky about it, and I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that's good enough. This is a storyboard. As I said, brush, the shortcut is not B. Okay. Brush. This is a brush. This is not an eraser. Okay, here we go. Now it understands. So yeah, as I was saying, I don't want to be picky about this. And you know, I'm just gonna fill it out so that my characters kind of pop out of the background, right? And if you want to add background to the color, like if you want to have like, oopsie, too loose. If you want to have a little bit of shades in the background, you can do that too. It's up to you how far you want to push this story reel of yours. But you can see how easy it is to just bring up the images that you have already taken of your thumbnail or your previous storyboards, and just, you know, put them all together and just refine them, draw on top of them, or even use the lines and just add colors and things like that. So the brush that I just changed the setting for, you can just create new brush that is the same setting, right? So I'm just going to do that, save new brush presets. I'm just going to call this one ENLE fill white. And you can just load an icon from the library for it. So I'm just going to pick this one. This is good, this is white, and I'm just going to put a star next to it or a heart, so that I know this is my brush when it appears up here. I'm just gonna hit save. You can see that I have it here, right? So I always have this preset now, so I can use. You can see it's really easy to just work with the layers. Let me double check to see that I've covered everything for the drawing part. Yes, I did. Okay, so now for the export, if you want to just export one frame, you do export, and it just exports this current frame. If you want to export like an animation, you go to render animation. Here you can identify like from frame 0 to 100, or however you want to go. You can just read it from the top part. Where you want to save it, you can select it here. Never save on drive C, right? And you can also image sequence. Let's see, and yeah, you can just choose it what you want. Like, you know, if you want all of them, like, you know, have the layers, because later you want to work with the layers, you can just export them all as Photoshop. Or if you're good with the quality that you get from this application, you can just export them as JPEG images. Make sure you save your project so you can always have access to these layers and everything. And then you hit OK. start numbering, and you can see that when export or from the software, it's good to have the number of frames up in here, because then it's not gonna know which shot it is. Like if you have like 1A, 1B, it's not gonna be representing in here. So you're gonna hit OK and it's gonna export it. I'm not gonna do that for now. So yeah. Oh, for the color, I forgot to create a frame. That's why I have this for all the timeline. So I'm just gonna say insert frame to the right. Then I'm gonna just copy this. Copy to clipboard, come here, and then just say paste, and then I can delete this one. Okay, yeah, that's more like it. See, it's really easy, it's intuitive, it's nice. I know I'm gonna start using this for storyboarding. I don't know about you, but I just wanted you to be familiar with the software. I can give you a good start. I'm not, as I said, a professional user of this application, so many things I'm still like trying to figure out, but I would be happy to help you start with this application, right? So that's it for now.